And here we are at the final of the big four securities laws, the Investment Advisors Act of 1940. Again, this is the act that deals with investment advisors. The name says it itself. This is, of the four, probably the least likely to be tested on the SIE. It's much more, as I have stated earlier, much more likely to be seen on the Series 63 and especially on the Series 65. But it regulates the advisors and the advising industry. Advisor is someone in the business of giving investment advice, and they get paid for that advice. There's three prongs sort of hidden in there, 3 points. They are in the business, the primary business, of giving advice on securities, and they specifically get paid for that advice. But we start getting into some very subtle differences here with securities rules and how these terms are used. So let's look at an example. Story time. I have a client. This client has $100 that they want to save for their child's education. Everything else is taken care of. Everything else is going fine. So they ask me what they should do. Now we're going to learn about these in a later chapter, but there's something called a 529, which is used for college savings. So I give the advice that they should invest in a 529 college savings plan. Everything else is fine. Their retirement, their emergency fund, their debt management, everything else is fine. So it's a perfectly good advice, it seems here. So they accept this advice. They write a check, we fill out all the paperwork, and I get paid for giving that advice. So the question now at the end of story time is, was I being an advisor? Is this an example of an advisor in the business of giving advice and getting paid for that advice? Certainly seems like an advisor. In short, no. This is not an advisor. Because there's a difference between being a representative or an agent and an advisor. The previous was a recommendation. I recommended to my client that they purchase a product. In this case, it was a 529. I know I said advice. I was trying to make sure that we could see it doesn't really matter the words you use, it's the situation. And I got paid for selling that product. I got paid a commission for selling that 529. An advisor is much more like a financial doctor, where someone is coming to me. If I was an advisor in this case, someone is coming and paying me for time. Maybe they send me all of their documents. I work with the documents and do my research and everything for, let's say, 2 hours. And they come and sit with me. The couple comes and sit with me for another 2 hours. I present everything I've discovered. I present my recommendation. I give them a prescription. Buy so much of this, buy so much of this, buy so much of this, buy so much, blah, 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 blah. And then they give me, say, $1,000. It's 4 hours, and I bill at $250 an hour. Then they leave. They didn't buy anything from me. They don't actually own anything. They paid $1,000 for me to look at everything they have and give them advice on what they should buy. They still need to go and now find someone to actually place it. That's the rep. That's the representative getting paid a commission for selling a product. Now, in many cases, the rep and advisor are going to be the same person. I, with my registration as a Series 7 and Series 66, I am both a representative and an advisor. I could act in both ways. The clients could come to me, pay $1,000 for that prescription, and then pay me a commission for actually placing it. They need to go someplace. They need to pay someone a commission. Why not me? I think it's something like 90 to 95% of the advisors in the industry are also reps. Most advisors are, because it does make it easier for the client. It does need to be disclosed, because the client could go to any other broker-dealer, not just the advisor's broker-dealer, any other broker-dealer that might have cheaper prices, but they have to go someplace else. Maybe they understand that it could be cheaper someplace else, but it's just easier. They're coming into an appointment with me. They don't have to go to another appointment with another representative to actually fill out the paperwork. They just want to sit there and do it with me. So in many cases, being a rep and an advisor is beneficial, but you do want to make sure you understand the difference between advice and a recommendation. They are different. That brings us to the end of the Investment Advisors Act of 1940. Again, it's a very short law, just like the Investment Company Act, but they are important in the industry. Again, not so much the Investment Advisors Act on the SIE, much more so on the 63 and 65, but it's important to understand. If your client asks a question, make sure that you at least can look up the answer correctly, kind of thing. As I said, that's the end of this chapter, or this unit, sorry. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again shortly.